Welcome to Garth Spotlight, the host with the most, and definitely the vampire killer. Over here we got Kyle. He is a vampire. He is our Dracula. And this here is Sam, and he is a great mage, or speaker as they call it. So we'll be diving into Castlevania, if you haven't figured out this much. And Castlevania is a game series that has been around for a long period of time throughout the generations. And it has been dealt with defeating vampires, particularly stopping Dracula from resurrecting. And usually 2D platform similar to Metroid, which a lot of people might know a lot more. So from there, we'll get right into it and get into Castlevania.
Yeah, so also this episode is mainly about the Netflix show that just premiered yesterday, I believe.
Yep.
Right? Friday, right? Yeah, the 4-episode series that just premiered. We're going to be delving particularly into that today.
Yeah, specifically into that. It just came out on Friday.
Just came out, yeah.
So,
it was good. Let's just start with that. It was. I'm not a big gamer, and I don't know much about Castlevania, but I know about the lore, about Vlad the Impaler, and about the character Dracula himself. I love the novel. I've read it a couple of times. I've seen many adaptations, so I was really interested in this. And just, again, right off the bat, this is really interesting. It's really fun, and it's really entertaining.
Yeah. To keep it on that note, we will try to refrain to say too much about the games themselves and stick mostly to the show. But the only thing we will state in terms of its reference is that it pretty much is based off of Castlevania 3. That's as far as we'll go in that aspect.
Yeah, just to let you know, this is spoiler free. We will have a spoiler one, most likely next week, but it'll encompass all the spoilers that we talk about today. But today we'll be diving into who made it and who wrote it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the show and what we thought about it. So first off,
some of the names behind it, right?
I don't know if you guys know Warren Ellis, so we'll start there. He's a big name, and he was a big part of the production because he jumped aboard and it really started picking up the hype train. So
he's the main writer. Warren Ellis is my favorite writer. He's literally, like, as far as the within the comic book world, and maybe just in general, he's my favorite writer. I absolutely love his work. He's done some great stuff. Like, you want to list some of it off?
He's done. First of all, he breaks down into 3 categories. He has actually written for video game stories.
He has.
He has done books.
He's done it all.
And he has comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, he did some film, like just loads.
Red was adapted. Adapted into Red and Red 2.
So I can go through the list real quick. Comic books, Transmetropolitan, Global Frequency, Red, and like you said, turned into the movies Red 1 and 2. Yes, the one with Bruce Willis, right?
Yes.
So those 2. Trees, which I do not know much about.
I read the first volume of that. I don't know if volume 2's out yet, but it's excellent.
Is it?
It's very interesting. Yeah.
And Injection.
Injection I just read too.
It came out last year, right?
Yeah, there's several volumes. I've read the first volume, so not the whole thing, but it's very good as well.
Yeah, I know he's very popular.
He's very prolific. He's written tons of stuff. And all those comics that you listed, I've read them all. They're so good. Transmetropolitan's amazing. Planetary's amazing. Global Frequency is really cool. He's done some other more obscure stuff as well. He usually comments on technology and just the state of world, sociocultural commentary, where we're going into the future.
Nanotechnology, cryogenics, what was it? Mind transfer, human enhancement.
And I lent you Transmetropolitan. I think
which
that was
has all of those things in one.
Yeah.
So,
oh my god!
Don't forget about books. Crooked Little Vein.
Crooked Little Vein was his first book.
And it was awesome because it was a series of stuff he found on the internet.
Series of like disgusting things that I guess his fan base sent him on the internet, and he kind of just turned that into a hardboiled detective story. It's amazing.
So I've been reading it. I'm not through it all, but it is really good. And it's really disturbing. And the way it got sold to me was the rat scene. If you want to explain it, you do it better.
The rat scene is at the very beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, at the very beginning, yeah. Basically, it starts with the very first line is a rat urinating in the main character's coffee.
And it scatters away before
and it runs away before it,
And he had a couple of close calls to drink it, so...
Yeah.
So you get an idea, like, what he's writing here.
That's the least disgusting part of the book. It gets progressively more disgusting, but it's hilarious and it's fun.
The second book I was going to mention is Gun Machine and Normal.
Normal just came out. I didn't read it, but Gun Machine I've read, and it's good.
So Gun Machine was also another one. Now, for video games, And this surprised me a lot. I love Dead Space, so the fact that he wrote in Dead Space just surprised me, but it also explains the whole technology aspects and like those creatures in the dark. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's definitely worth it. It's an older game, and I don't think they have any remastered editions for that. So you're out of luck there. Cold Winter was a PS3 game? I think it was a PS3 game. Don't quote me on that. And Hostile Wars, which was a PC
Did he write
game.
those too?
He wrote a lot of the story parts for that.
So yeah, he's the main writer on this, and you can tell. Like, the writing, I'd say, was pretty solid.
Oh, the writing was solid, yeah.
The pacing was good. And
it fleshed out the characters. The writing fleshed out the characters really well. And it was a dark satire, sort of.
It does have satirical elements. That's a good word to use.
The take on the what's it called? On the religious elements was definitely there from his type of touch into the show.
Yeah. Oh, go on. That's absolutely right. Yeah, please go on.
He has a very weird sense in how he stands on the religious aspects. So the way he threw that in and how the connection with the way Castlevania naturally goes as a whole. Not only was decently accurate, not decently, it was really accurate. It was also dark in a sense of some people can corrupt religion very easily, and he showed it very well.
Yeah, he's known. You mentioned he does sociocultural commentary.
Yeah.
And he really does highlight that with the institution of the Catholic Church. We talked about this before. Doesn't really go after religion. He goes after the way in this show. He goes after the way people corrupt religion,
how they change the views, and manipulate other people,
use it for their own malicious intent, gain, which
I love. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't an attack at anything. It was a beautiful way of introducing that element, right?
There's some great, without spoiling, there's just some great lines about how kind of man corrupts the otherwise loving nature of what Catholicism can actually teach.
Yeah, it also goes into nature too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It felt like it was man's corruption in the world, and that's what a lot of the element of hate came into, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Warren Ellis is great at that. As far as writing goes, I know we're focusing on him. We'll go into others soon, but he's really good at just about providing commentary on the dark side of humanity. I know a lot of artists do that. Most of the great artists do that. He's one of those great artists who does a wonderful job of that. Okay. He makes you think, but he also makes you laugh.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that here. A little bit, but yeah.
I love the main character for that.
Yeah.
He had like really nice lines, well delivered, because it gave him character.
You're talking about Trevor.
Yeah,
Trevor Belmont. Yeah.
Belmont.
Thank you. I said it fast.
And the thing through Castlevania is you will be playing a Belmont, upset 1 or 2, I think it was, where I won't say who you're playing, but it's another character that you do meet in the series. So it follows their lineage and how they hold off Dracula from resurrecting, because he just comes back every single time, and it's how they deal with that. So that's the main aspect of Castlevania to keep in mind. So this is Trevor Belmont. He was portrayed really differently
in this show.
Yeah, because Kyle was mentioning it earlier.
Oh no, the images which they took, they've had like 2 or 3 other images. One where he's basically just wearing like just like a plate that covers the chest, so the chest plate and shoulder plates, and then that's really it for what they show for most pictures. But otherwise they have a very interesting, like a very artistic Asian drawing to it rather, and he seemed very
like Asian style,
effeminate. So he wasn't very like male heavy,
right.
male stereotypes. He had like those very long boots that go really high up to like almost the thighs. Like, well, definitely on the thighs, but it was very gender fluid. Whereas when you see this one, you see him and his fur like cape alone. He's definitely very masculine with it.
Go on.
Oh no, it reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say he looks like a Stark.
Yeah, he does look like a Stark.
Yeah,
he really does look like a Stark. Yeah. And the thing is, when they started the series, they started planning it in 2005. Before that, that's when they started, but it was hard to get this out, right? Until Warren Ellis and Addie Shanker jumped into this, it wasn't that well known. And then Netflix picked it up. So at that point, I just remember them saying that it had no Game of Thrones. 2005, I don't remember Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones started, I think, in 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 6 or 7 years ago now.
And a lot of the dark medieval type stuff didn't exist at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden we have that popularity, and this was ahead of its time. It just came out perfect for them to launch now, right? And I think they took elements from Game of Thrones.
I'm sure it influenced it, given the trajectory that Game of Thrones has got, the influence that it has.
I also want to mention his attire. He had a crest. That crest came from one of my favorite games for Castlevania. I know it's not popular. It was for the 360, Lord of Shadows. They actually use that crest in the game on the walls and stuff like that. So I remember that crest to be similar. It might not be exact, but it is similar in my opinion.
Well, it's the Belmont crest in general, right?
Yeah.
As they actually explain in the show. It's actually been in every one of the games in one way, shape. It's just that because of the fact of where you were located in that game, that it was very crest heavy for that symbol.
Okay, because I do remember seeing it a lot. That makes sense. It was location. I played a big.
The representation of him, that was, I mean, he looked cool, like in the show. It was very different. We saw that picture that Kyle was describing, the way he looked in one of the games. Which game was it? Was it number 3?
It is the third game, but that specific image was a
artist rendition,
re-illustration for a different game for a later edition.
Okay.
I don't remember which.
Okay.
All right. So before we dive any deeper, I did mention a guy, Adi Shankar.
Adi Shankar, yeah.
And he is a producer. And forget his movies. Go to his YouTube page. Watch a Gritty Power Rangers. When that came out, it blew my mind. And then Sammy showed me Punisher Dirty Laundry.
Yeah, it's just a quick background. Just Adi Shankar, a film producer. He's known for his feature length films that he produces, but he also does a lot of fan produced stuff that Garth just said you can find on his YouTube page, and they're awesome. Yeah.
Just a heads up, he made Dread, The Grey,
produced Dread and The Grey,
Killing Them Softly, and Lone Survivor.
And he also did Machine Gun Preacher with Gerard Butler. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. I just kind of want to throw that in there. I don't think it's a bad film.
Yeah, so I really did enjoy Dread, even though
Dread's awesome. That has such a following now, right? And no, not one of yours, Kyle. You
didn't.
Made a sour
like
face.
The movie was good, but he didn't feel like a Dread.
Did you read Dread? Do you read Dread comics?
I have.
You have, yeah.
It doesn't feel like it. He felt too emotional and not just being the judge, the juror, and the executioner.
I thought he did a good job of balancing both. Carl Urban, but I guess it's for another podcast.
The only reason why I brought up Dread is
it's one of the most popular ones.
It's one of the most popular ones, but the way he portrayed the character, some had controversy with that. But if you see the Gritty Power Rangers, you'll then again see he's accurate with his characters, and also the Punisher, he's accurate with his characters. So I have a lot of hope on him because he's kind of breaking the industry. We had Mario, which was horrible. Assassin's Creed was another one.
Yeah.
Hitman was another one. I didn't enjoy the Hitman ones either.
I haven't seen them because I heard they were terrible. The new one and the one before that came out a few years ago.
The only ones that I would say is pretty good is the Need for Speed ones. The one with Aaron Paul, Need for Speed. And I thought that was enjoyable. But in terms of groundbreaking, it's not there. But with Adi Shankar, I feel like we can get that. We can break that trend. We can get something that's good, and maybe these video game adaptations might just jump on Netflix to create more and more. And I would love to see that, right?
Yeah,
I would too. Whenever his name is attached to a production, it's got a lot of whether you like it or not. It's very gritty, it's very violent, but it's got a lot of heart to it. There's films like Dread were made with such passion, and I feel like, obviously we can't prove it, but I feel like he was just a big driving force behind that. And whenever I see interviews about making a Dread sequel or about the science about how Dread got funded and stuff like that, he's usually the one talking about it, and he's usually I associate that film very much with his face because I see him talking about it so much. So you can tell he has a big heart for these kinds of things. Yeah,
the thing is it depends on them learning the role, and I think Adi Shankar does that well.
Yeah, he knows these characters.
He knows his characters, which is hard to do. Because some people, we go to Iron Fist. You guys might have watched it, may have not. But if you see the way the character is, he is actually supposed to be a martial arts fighter, and what we got was not a martial arts fighter or a martial arts series. So that tells you how badly you can chop that up. Yeah. So that's just giving you an idea of how bad it could have went, right? So from here, let's just dive more into the show if you guys want to.
Before that, we'll sorry again. We still I think we need to at least put a little bit on Sam Dietz as well, because he was the one that did the art, I believe, right?
Yeah, he did the artwork. I do not know much about him, but I know the artwork from what I see right now. It's really good.
Visually, it was amazing. Watching this show is worth it just for the visuals alone.
The visuals and the art and the rating to it.
Absolutely.
Because without that rating and without that kind of art, I don't think we would have got anything that we would have had now with that. Because it could have been much worse, in my opinion. Because the graphics and the gore he's capable of drawing, was it was just so well done.
That's true. At one point, we did see like a finger lost, an eye lost. And it was just like...
The fact that it's stuck to the wall for a second.
It's very like... Yeah, it looks very organic.
Spoiler, sorry.
That's not too much of a spoiler. We don't know when it happens. Yeah, but the gore that does happen, it looks very organic. It doesn't look...
It feels real, though.
Yeah, it feels real. Like, it looks painful.
It does.
Oh, yeah. Some of the scenes are just...
It's not meant to go... like, there's bloody action and violence in films and films and TV. Sometimes just make you go, yeah, make you, like, excited. This, like, or just entertain you. This actually made you go, ugh. Like, it's gross.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens when they, Another thing about Adi Shankar's production is they're really graphic and violent, but they're never like, they're not cashing in on that. I feel like his productions are saying like, this is how disgusting we can be.
Yeah, but that was prevalent throughout the whole series because that's what they were trying to point out.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just humanity as a whole can be really disgusting at times. And you can see that with the way the speakers were treated, right?
Yeah, the speaker characters.
Yeah.
They were really fascinating to me. I found them very interesting. Yeah, I just did.
So there's one thing about the series that I really enjoyed was the way they opened it up. They gave us a really genuine emotion. They made us feel for the characters.
Yes.
I won't tell you what happens, but that scene for that episode, I don't know about you guys, but it touched some heartstrings. Like, I was surprised.
They gave reasons, they gave direction, they made it to where even bad guys can have their own general reasons of why they do certain things. Yeah, it's just, they gave him a driving force to do what he does.
The villain is very justified, and like, I'm obviously, you're not rooting for him, but you, at the same time... You guys. Unless you're Kyle.
Yeah, unless you're Kyle. Because remember, he is a vampire, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like you said, you were right. That's right. Well, okay. You're not rooting for him regardless unless you're Kyle. But at the very least, if you are rooting for him, fine. God bless you. But if you aren't, then you understand where he's coming from. You understand why he's doing what he's doing. Is he going overboard? Oh, yeah. But you're kind of like, yeah, like he has every right to kind of
do what he
exact this kind of vengeance within his own means. It's intense, but yeah, I didn't feel bad for what he was doing to the people when he started to exact his vengeance. It was kind of like, I almost was like, yeah.
There is some the way fire is shown in that series, just in general,
well drawn,
very well drawn.
It gives fire character. It gave the sky character in that moment where something dropped down, right? So like that, literally the artwork there, the way they presented it was beautiful. So I can't give them any more credit than that. Like, it's like, give them as much ratings as possible because that was amazing.
Even if you don't like the story, just look. I know I said it already, but just looking at this show is like, it's just so beautiful, and it's gothic. Like, it has that look, right?
Yeah.
It feels like something from like a classical vampire tale, yet it's done in a refreshing way at the same time. Like it does look something.
Because it shows you the gore, it shows you the dark, it shows you the gritty, but at the same time, it's showing you the serene, the emotional, the romantic, beauty, the romance. Everything is just combined into one to make it feel real.
Yeah.
And it's very intelligent.
In the age of Twilight, that is very nice to see. No disrespect. I prefer
no sparkling vampires.
I prefer this rendition and take on vampires. And just because it gets back to the classics. It gets back to the classical interpretation, right? It goes back to to Dracula himself.
Right.
Yeah. And it does it through a video game series, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Talking about the classics, you got the classic whip and weaponry. So what do you guys think about the weaponry? Because for me, I played a lot of Castlevania games in the 3DS and GBA. So a lot of it was whip oriented. And then you do use a sword at times. Just his arsenal, what he threw those knives, I remember seeing these pixelated knives being thrown when I was this blocky character jumps up and he throws a knife and then hearts fall out of the light and stuff like that. That's what I remember it, but the way they portrayed it here was an intelligent use of weaponry. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Oh yeah, they showed 3 different weapons from him, I believe. Just those 3 that you just mentioned, actually.
Whip, short
one of
sword,
which came
knives.
down in the line of his family heirlooms. The other one, I can't remember where. The sword. Maybe it was from the second. I don't know. Someone can put it in the comments, and I thank you for it. But other than that, the daggers, or were they daggers that he used?
Yeah, well,
like they're like throwing knives.
Yeah.
But he always does have. When I remember the icon, thinking back, it was just a dagger-like icon. It showed a dagger. That's how I remember it, because they labeled that as a dagger as well. You can also throw the cross, holy water, and what was the other one?
Well, they pull out a couple of those references.
Yeah,
but
they do. I don't want to say it. There is something else that he uses, but I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
The only thing that they don't show, which isn't much of a spoiler for what you would be watching should you watch this first movie / series settings, is that there's actually supposed to be 4 characters to the team.
Is there...
One's missing.
One's missing.
Yeah. That's which one's missing?
I didn't know that. Can we say it? Would that be...
Ooh.
Yeah, can we say it on this one?
We won't say which.
Yeah, okay.
We won't say which. You gotta tune in to the
They know the
spoiler
games a lot
one.
better. Yeah.
Not really. I just referenced it like.
Well, you know better than me. You know better than me.
You know what? There's one thing I wanted to say was the movements of the character. So usually when you think about a main character, they have infinite stamina. But when this character ran, you've seen him.
You see sweat. You see breaths. You hear the breaths. He's like he's
tired. He's worn out,
and he's not in great shape. He said his character's not in great physical shape.
Then think of his opponents too, right? The way the opponents were shown, right? The way mob and like people were shown, right? So it's like when you see that bar fight and they're happening there, the characters are real. I'm not gonna say what happens or where.
Well, you just said where.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
It's okay. Don't worry. It's all right. No spoilers on that. That's nothing. That's nothing big.
That's gonna happen in the first few minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't. It happens pretty early, right? Yeah. Either way, the fight scenes are within the context of Castlevania. They're pretty realistic. They look.
That's the point I wanted to get to. Like every character has actual character to it. Even when they move and fight, they have that realism with them, right?
It's still highly
some of the small characters too.
Yeah, it's still highly stylized though. Like they do a good job of making it like over the top at times, but still they incorporate like the panting, the breathing, the sweating, the blood,
the cold aspect. And I won't say how.
Yeah, no, it's well done in that regard. Like you could tell I feel like the artist. This must be maybe Sam Dietz with the animation.
Yeah, that's why I'm giving him so much credit.
Yeah, no, it's rightfully so.
I've never seen him before this, in my personal opinion, but it's just wow.
Yeah,
the art has his style worked so well with these other 2 very great like people in that industry that it just the 3 of them made like a Triforce. I'm sorry, that was great.
It's a really solid production. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget the rest of the cast there. There's a lot of people that put into that.
Oh yeah. Who was it again that did Trevor's voice?
Richard Armitage, I believe.
And who did he do?
I believe he did Kyle. Thank you for asking. I believe he did Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
I believe he was Thorin. Yes.
I had a feeling his voice seemed
Who else?
familiar.
Wait. I'm drawing a blank. He did somebody else too, didn't he? I can't remember. But he's known for playing Thorin in The Hobbit.
Now, see, he had great voice acting. I don't know about some of the characters in the beginning. Some of the side characters. I didn't think their voice acting really fit the scene until later on. Yeah. Because I think the main character and like the main elements of the people were there. But I feel like you meet an older woman at the beginning. You meet some character chit-chat in the background. They didn't feel like the medieval time to me. It felt like someone put on an accent and just did it.
Some of the it's supposed to be Romania, right? Wallachia. Am I saying it right? Yeah, well, I don't either. It's supposed to be Romania, right? I think all the characters have English accents. So there's that. That's not really accurate when you do that. Yeah. And there's also some of the dialogue does feel like it feels a little bit more modern than it should be.
Yeah.
But that
You can get
too much. Yeah.
You can get past
Yeah.
it, but at the beginning, it just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
It's just like I noticed that, and I'm just like, "There's something wrong. It's not quite resonating well." And then once the main character started up talking, it's like it's back to normal. You forget that element happened, but it still got me there.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Is there anything that got you guys?
It still works. Yeah, it still works. Anything that got us?
Yeah.
Kyle?
In a negative aspect?
Yeah. There's always a positive and negative to this.
I'm still fresh off the boat of watching it, which just happened yesterday. The fact that you already have negative is pretty surprising. It was really good in my opinion. Let me rewatch it once or twice.
That's why I'm the host with the most, right? You're coming to me. Gotta break it down.
Well, so far it's great.
Yeah, I'm still pretty hyped by it too. I gotta be honest. I really am enjoying. I'm kind of coming off like the excitement of having watched it first.
Okay, how about the lack of episodes? I wanted so
that
much
was
more.
It was short. Like
it was short.
Well,
Yeah.
it was meant like supposed to be like a movie that was split into 4 pieces.
But it was like you go and you get the entree, and you're waiting for your full course meal, but the rest don't show up because you just
the way it ends,
set
it makes
up.
you feel that way. It does make you feel like,
Let's
I
give
just
the
it wants.
reference
Yeah.
from what we just mentioned, The Hobbit. It's like watching the first movie of The Hobbit.
Well, at least you got 3 hours. What was it? 2 hours?
It was like 2 hours and 50 minutes. I think.
But you
the
get
first
my
one.
point of where it left off.
I would say that
Not
more
the
about.
length.
I would say that more about Lord of the Rings. I feel like I wanted more of Lord. How about I was kind of like, oh god, they took this book and they made it into 3-hour movies or 2.5.
But even if they shrunk it down to an hour and a half, it would still leave off at the point in which it was supposed to.
I know. I see what you're saying.
And the place in which it left off at is about the same feel that we had from here. To where it was great. Oh my god. Why'd you cliffhanger us? Come on. More.
Okay.
I said it with Lord of the Rings.
We can get more into that some other time.
He loves The Hobbit. He prefers The Hobbit over Lord of the Rings. I just wanted to leave you with that.
He probably loves a supercut of Hobbit.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to watch that still. All right. Sorry, Chris.
All right. So we're coming to an end. Is there any last thoughts for a quick? No.
Maybe ratings?
Yeah,
we're gonna before the ratings happen.
I mean, like an 8. It's just out of 10. Out of 10.
Yeah, out of 10. We can do that. Yeah.
No. I was gonna say just recommend based on if you really liked it, if you didn't, if you feel like it was a blockbuster production, if you thought it was a real high-ended, something like that. Just give your opinion on it.
Oh, well, as we were stating about Netflix doing it, they allowed us to get it to the point in which it should have been. So, don't give me that stare. You're making me confused.
No. You have the words, and I want to call it a Netflix buster.
Hey, the Net Buster.
Ah.
Oh god.
So,
It's a Net Buster.
how about you?
It's really good. Well, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it if you're into that kind of stuff. The fact that it is shorter. Remember growing up and watching YTV? Like Justice League, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, stuff like that. 20-minute episodes of just awesome quality animation and storytelling. So yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. You should check it out.
Yeah, I definitely loved it as well. I would definitely say watch on the first day. It was definitely watching on that Friday, binge watching it was like definitely worth it. It was exciting. It was fun. So before we close off, if anyone can find that stupid cooked bird, or if they're gonna put it in the second season, someone let me know in the descriptions below, because I really want to find it. I need that help myself. So before we get done, please, if you liked our podcast and our little spotlight here, make sure you like, subscribe, and give us a shout out in the comments.
Subscribe, by the way.
Take care.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, you can check out the next video here. If you're in a daring mood, you can select a random video here.